Yo, we're here for a Friday show. And I have to say, I mean, I don't have too much to talk about. Well, there's a few things, I know we took last week off. That's what we had to do. It was down for a week off. It was good. Good week off. Now we got to talk Packers again. We got other stuff. The schedule's out. We know who all the draft picks are. We have Aaron Jones talking to the public. Jordan Love talking to the public. And Zadarius Smith just reported. Thank you, JJ. Thank you, Rick. To the Cleveland Browns for something brown. And I think it has about 50 likes on Instagram or whatever this is. So not that many people like it, Ben.
I don't like it because I liked it when he was a Viking because it was turmoil in the locker room. We could run right at him. We knew he wasn't going to do anything because he never looks at the run. So it was great. It actually makes me sad that he's gone.
I know. What did he get traded for, you say?
A piece of gum? No, the Vikings got 2 5th-round picks, and the Browns got Zadarius, a 6th-round pick, and a 7th-round pick.
Wow.
So they pretty much got
high value.
Like nothing. I mean, that's like the equivalent of, I don't know, what can I think? Zadarius Smith got traded for the equivalent of...
We know, JJ. We know.
Like, what can we say? Let's say, like, Wildman 70. That's what he got. Not even. He's not even, he couldn't even got traded for that. He got traded for the equivalent of...
Hey, David.
I'll say Jamon Moore.
Oh, boy.
Not even that good. He got traded for the equivalent of Jake Hansen.
No,
not even that good.
J.K.
He got
Scott?
traded the equivalent of, a piece of gum. Like I said in the first thing. That's what it was, piece of gum.
Oh, man. So Zadarius, no more Zadarius in the division. That makes us all sad. It was fun watching the Vikings fans get excited about him last year for a little while like they did. And we knew what was going to happen. So anyway, glad he's not a Packer anymore. Viking fans now are also glad after 1 year of him, he's not a Viking anymore. And now he's a Brown.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into some Packer stuff here. I know you want to get rolling. Thank you guys for being here. I know we got to update the intro. Sorry about that. Didn't have time.
We got a secret coming. Coming, JJ.
All right, let's hear it.
I don't know when or how, but it's coming. Whenever Brad gets it ready and complete, he's going to email to Jace. And then it'll be up to Jason to update our video. Get Aaron Rodgers to crap off of this freaking channel for once and for all. Change the damn intro, please.
I kind of like still having it just because we know who's in charge and it's kind of funny and ironic, and I like that part.
I mean, keep the part with Goody says that I'm confident you'll enjoy it. Keep that part. The other thing is the intro is going to be only 20 seconds long because that's all it's going to be.
Yeah, well, if that's all your song is, then the rest of it can be my vocal stylings, like in the past, like we used to have.
Please no.
Well, why not? Hey, tonight I'm drinking for the first time a Giant Jones beer.
Okay.
Giant Jones Brewing Company. It's a Trip Hell. Trip Hell. Thanks to Rick. He likes that one. Anyway, I'm trying it out. They're some ladies who started their own brewing space in Madison, and I never made it over there, even though they've been in business a few years. And I saw their bottle today, and I was like, it's a little expensive, but you know what? I'm just going to give it a whirl and try it out. I know that doesn't interest you at all, but for anybody else, for beer connoisseurs or people who just maybe enjoy a beer, it is, oh my gosh, it's 9.3 ABV. Holy, well, we'll see how this goes. It's a Belgian, though, and that fits Hafeman's. We're part Belgian. Anyway, all right, so, bro, what happened with your man Aaron Jones? He's still not great at talking, but
I thought his press conference was great.
Okay, well, tell me that.
Listen, he's the new face of the franchise, if not already was the face of the franchise before this. I mean, he's got more animation than the two jokers who were on before him in the meet the team guys press conference the other day. I mean, Jordan Love has got the personality of a wet paper towel, and Kenny Clark is about as boring as me. I'm not boring at all. What am I talking about? He's about as boring as, I don't know, somebody who's really boring. I'm tired, so I'm saying stuff makes no sense. But Aaron Jones was awesome. Aaron Jones was his typical awesome, like always.
He's a good man. He just had to reiterate that one old story from Rodgers again because they asked him stuff about Rodgers for a second. I know you said no 12 talk, Dave, but anyway. Well, we got past that, and Aaron Jones said a lot of good stuff about Jordan Love. He said a lot of good stuff about his role on the team. He said how he wants to, he's really excited for this season, and
he mentioned Super Bowl. Aaron Jones mentioned the Super Bowl, going to the Super Bowl. So as much as everybody, I don't know who everybody, but people are talking about it's a rebuild, and Andy Herman is a rebuild, and everybody it's a rebuild. Aaron Jones thinks they're going to the Super Bowl. So I don't know what you want to say about that. He's going to work hard like it's going to the Super Bowl. And I'm sure a lot of the other players are going to do that too, except for Dave Bakhtiari. He thinks they suck.
Oh, that's a good question. What are your expectations? People who are Packer fans thinking about the season, people who hang out on our show and come to the chat and give their opinions and their comments. I'm wondering what your realistic expectations are. Look, Jordan Love has had 3 years to learn what the hell he's doing, right? Learn the offense, hopefully lose all the bad Rodgers habits and just actually run Matt LaFleur's system with maybe a couple of things that he can pick up. He's confident in his arm talent. His arm talent is what they drafted him on. And he has a lot of practice. He's got young guys who want to learn and grow with him to throw the ball to. And he's only 24 years old. He's been sitting on the Packers for 3 years. He's only 24 years old. So, I mean, I don't know. That's a lot more preparation than most quarterbacks get before they get to step on the field. It is the first time as the lead guy. And he's had consistency in the coaching staff. There are plenty of quarterbacks and players that don't have the same head coach 3 years in a row. Not unless the same offensive system 3-4 years, which will be his fourth year now. So I don't know, man. My expectations are actually pretty high for this season. So I don't know what you guys all think, but my expectations are pretty damn high. I think they should win the division. I think win a playoff game. That's what I'm expecting. At least one playoff win, and the division goes to the Packers. That's my thoughts.
I'm expecting them to get to the Super Bowl.
Damn! Just like Aaron Jones. Ben and Aaron Jones, the optimists for the Packers. I like it.
If Matt LaFleur can coach, I think we have the playmakers on. This is the first time we have playmakers on the team. Just think, this is what I want everybody out there who keeps thinking that the Packers need to sign a veteran wide receiver or whatever the crap. Think about this. In the past, we had slow Devontae Adams, really slow and clumsy Allen Lazard, really, really fast in a straight line, but nothing else, MVS. Really slow and clumsy Allison, Geronimo. Eckes' guy, what's his face? Can't remember, the white guy, Kumaro, who wasn't that great. Like that was our receiving room.
No,
like we had one guy who put any fear in the defense at all, and that was MVS. And then when he was hurt, you saw it on the team. You saw it on the field. We couldn't move the ball. We were going on, the drives were taking forever because we had nobody who could stretch the field or do anything, especially when Tonyan was there, we could. But then Tonyan got hurt. And then when he came back and we were out without Tonyan and MVS, there's nothing you could do. Now, we got Christian Watson, super speed and super tall and can block. We got Romeo Doubs, who can adjust his body and make pretty good catches and is pretty smooth in his routes. Looks pretty good. We got Jaden Reed, who I've been watching film on for the last 2 weeks, and I am impressed. I know when they drafted him, I said, there's a whole 100 guys just like this they could have drafted. But the difference between this guy and all the other guys who are his same size and height that we were talking about, that the Packers could have had any of those other guys, this guy is made differently. This guy is he's a go-get-it type of guy. He's a work hard, team mentality. I'm going to make it happen. Like the ball's in the air, I'm making the catch. We need a first down. I'm making it happen. I'm getting the first down. Like that's what this guy is. And he's got really good agility, pretty decent speed, good hands, good leaping ability, good contested catch ability. That right there, just mentioning those three guys, that's enough to say, wow, that's way more talent than we've had as a wide receiver in forever. Then you add 2 6'5" guys that run 4.6 at tight end, and here you got more things that could scare the defense. Because you got guys who are fast and quick, and one of them, Tucker Kraft, is a pretty sizable guy who can run after the catch. These guys can do things. And then when you look at Wicks, now Wicks is a guy who he's got some issues catching the ball, but he's a speed demon. And if he wouldn't have had a bad year last year, people were saying he's a second-round pick, at wide receiver. And we got him in the 5th round or whatever it was. So the talent there right now, as far as a playmaking ability, like when the ball gets into their hand and then something happens after the ball gets into their hands, is through the roof compared to what it used to be. In the past, we had to rely on Aaron Rodgers' pinpoint accuracy to get the ball to slow guys who couldn't do anything with it after they caught it, right? Now, if Jordan Love just goes back and in the rhythm of the offense can get the ball into the playmaker's hands, these guys can do something with the ball after they get it, which we saw from Christian Watson last season. And I think we'll be able to see it this season with Reed and with both of those 2 tight ends. You're talking 4 guys who can do something with the ball after they get it in their hands. Not to mention Josiah DeGuara coming out of the backfield with some sneak attack catches. He's pretty good with it after the catch too. And then, of course, Aaron Jones and, A.J. Dillon running through guys. So
now there's one, hang on. You mentioned a bunch of these receivers and pass catchers that they drafted, and there's one guy you missed, and I want to bring him up right now because when I saw his little introduction to Green Bay, I had to double take it. Who does this young man, Grant DuBose,
holy crap, looks like James Starks.
Exactly. He is. Exactly. Look at this. Here's James Starks. And here's Grant DuBose. Look,
holy crap.
It's like James Starks went back in time and lost some years, and he's back on the Packers again. So
wow,
right there, I'm glad
he does look like James Starks. Wow, that's creepy. Actually, he's good too. A lot of people didn't think they thought he was a higher than 7th round pick, and we got him in the 7th round.
What? I first saw him, I was like, shit, James Starks is back in town. Awesome. I love James Starks. Was he coaching or what's he doing? Oh, okay. No, it's a rookie. Okay. Anyway. But yeah, here's one thing. Did you happen to see Larry McCarron's interview with Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave?
Yes, I did.
Now, I like some things from that interview. One thing I really liked is they talked a lot about wanting, like when he asked them what they wanted to do and da 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 da. A lot of times guys will have these big things and I want to do this and I want 1,000 yards and I want all this. They were like,
I like Tucker Kraft.
We want to be on the field. We want to be contributing. We want to be in there making big plays and helping on when big plays are happening.
Yeah.
So
that's what he said.
Right. And it also
Tucker Kraft said, I want to be there when we make a big play. He said, I want to be on the field when a big play is made. That's what he said. Yeah.
And they also were like talking about how not just having one dynamic tight end, but what you can do when you have 2 on the field.
Or 3.
And then Musgrave was like,
Musgrave said 3. Yeah, I like 3 tight ends.
Let's get as many tight ends on the field as we can. And I'm like, hey, let's do it, Matt LaFleur. Let's do some 3 tight end sets. Let's go crazy, man. There's a lot they could do. And you and I have mentioned that before. Like Christian Watson out there to go along with 3 tight ends, like that defense doesn't know what's going to happen. You could run it down their throats, no problem. But you could also attack them in the passing game against probably a heavier unit. They're probably going to have an extra linebacker in there, right? And one less D-back. And you could like Christian Watson can burn him deep, or he could like make 2 guys go with him deep. And then all of a sudden Musgrave is running down the seam, like wide open. Like there's a lot that Matt LaFleur could do by incorporating the skills of these big guys all together at the same time. And then it could be really dynamic. It'll look different. It's not going to be the Aaron Rodgers, spread out, run straight, I'll throw it perfect stuff. But you could see guys running wide open and free for easy throws for Jordan Love. And man, that would be very nice for me to see. I would love that personally.
Well, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Are you over the whole Washington of the situation? And have you accepted and have you seen the possibilities of having these two young guys at tight end and what they can do, and the fact that they didn't get your guy Washington?
I mean, I'm fine. Like I look at them and I think they're going to be good. I just don't think I think he's going to be better, but it's fine. I would rather I'm fine with it. Like I just want to see I want to see him play though. I want to see him play and be on the field and doing stuff this year. Like I don't want none of this like development crap. Those guys got to play and I'll be fine.
Okay.
And Love will throw it over the middle. Yeah, David, he'll throw it over the middle because he talked about, one thing, that's one thing Jordan Love talked about too, was just letting it rip. Talked about letting the ball go and letting it rip when he sees it. And he also talked a lot about things that he's gotten better at, or his decision making and kind of seeing things as they develop, like as the play, with practice, with learning everything, with all of it and all the repetition. And they asked him about what was more valuable, like all those practice rips that he's gotten the last 2 years or the limited game action. He said it was all valuable, but obviously the game action was probably the most important, the live game action, not the preseason action. But look, man, I just think he's had so much time and that's, to me, that's like the biggest thing, right? As an athlete, as a player, especially in a game like this where there's a new call every play. Sometimes basketball's not like that, right? Like basketball, they might throw a play call there once in a while, but a lot of times it's kind of, hey, whatever, attack the basket, whatever. It's not as complicated, or not as many plays and stuff. But football, there's generally a new call every play. So there's some stuff to learn, and you got to learn where everybody's going to be. You got to learn everybody on the field. That's the other part. Depending on what position you are, you don't always have to learn what everybody's doing on every play, but as a quarterback, you have to. So I just feel like that takes some time for sure. And then Jordan Love is not going to be bogged down by his brain, by having to process all that stuff, by having to think, by having to learn all this stuff, because he's got such a good base coming in. So I don't know. I think he's going to be good. I'm thinking about drafting him in fantasy pretty early. I don't know. I might throw the whole thing out of whack. You don't know, man. I think he's going to be awesome this year, just to be honest. His first year. And then everyone's going to flip out and be like, oh my God, the Packers have 3 great quarterbacks in a row. And that might be jumping the gun a little bit after just 1 year, but I think he's going to have a really good year. That's what I think. Now, I think Goody needs a little help. I think Goody's got to, probably decompress, do a little de-stressing now to kind of reset after the last couple of years. I think he's been under a little too much stress. So I think Brian Gutekunst will also have a good year, just personally and emotionally this season.
Depends. I mean, if Jordan Love stinks and the Packers stink, he'll be canned. I mean, he's the guy who traded the guy away, and he's the one who drafted Love in the first place and started this whole mess. So he's the guy who's going to have to deal with the consequences if things go wrong. I think LaFleur's job will be safe. I think Goody's will be the one who'll be gone because he's the guy who made the move.
He's the one. Now, they asked him about the offensive lineman in the draft too, and he said that they thought they might be able to get one of the guys early on. If it was going to be one of the guys early on in the first couple of rounds, that might have been a guy that they would have drafted. But after that didn't happen, then he said that's why they didn't draft the offensive lineman, because he didn't feel that any of the other offensive linemen in that draft would have been able to make their team.
And I agree.
Probably not.
I agree with that. And I think a lot of we drafted 13 players, and a lot of them were needs, to be quite honest. The 3 wide receivers, 2 tight ends, the edge rushers, you always use that. Plus, and then the 2 guys, they were played edge in college, but they're going to move the defensive tackle or whatever. We'll see how that works out. I mean, one of them's almost 300 pounds. The other guy's not even, he's like 280. So I don't know about that, about him playing inside, but we'll see. What I do know is I believe the offensive line is solid to a point. Our weakness is center, for sure. But the problem is he's got size and talent. He just, he moves like a grandpa. So it's like, well, what is he going to do? When you're a 22-year-old, 23-year-old guy who moves like a grandpa, you might be in trouble. But maybe they'll decide to play Zach Tom at center or somebody else at center, and then that's the end of that.
I mean, a couple that are a little arguable for me is like, I think most people could beat out Jake Hansen. I think most people could beat out Royce, but whatever.
Yeah, but those guys have experience on the field, so why would they replace them? I mean, it's dumb.
I get it.
And they're both under contract yet, right?
Because for a couple of years, yeah.
So it's like, why would you cut those guys over? I mean, I know they got before. If they drafted somebody, they get 4 years out of him. But what if he stinks? I don't know.
Right.
Royce could still come in and play in a pinch. He's not awful. It's just he's not a guard. I don't know why they keep playing him a guard. He's not. He's a tackle. Right.
Fair enough.
He can't react quick enough. Everything inside things happen too fast. He doesn't react quick enough, and he gets beat. His best attribute is his quick feet, which helps him on the outside because he can get back quick and steady himself and get ready for something to happen. Now, he might get beat, but I think he has a better chance than he goes up against somebody inside who, doesn't matter how quick your feet are. For a big 300-pound guy is on top of you in a millisecond, your feet will be moving. You're going to knock out your butt. So I don't know. I just think.
Go ahead.
The guys they brought back, Luke Tenuta, they got Caleb Jones, who they think could be something someday. Yash, Tom, Ryan's got to be something. 3rd-round pick last year. I mean, let's go. He's a big, huge monster guy. Let's see him play or see him do something. But all those guys, you're talking pretty high picks, and even Rasheed Walker, high, either a high pick or a guy who should have been a high pick and fell for reasons we don't know. Who, when he did get to play in the preseason, Walker looked good. So I think they have enough offensive linemen on the team that if they would have drafted somebody, especially the talent level at that point, after like the 2nd, 3rd round, in the later rounds, I don't think anybody in the later rounds would have had a chance to make this team with all those guys they have in the pipeline right now. So I agree with everything Goody said.
That's fair. I'm intrigued by, and don't get me wrong, after the last several times we've tried to go with an Auburn defensive lineman, and it has been really bad and hasn't panned out. I'm still intrigued by Colby Wooden. I know he's a little smaller. I know he's only 273, 6'4", but I like the way he's built. He's faster. The problem I had with Montravius Adams, who they drafted most recently, right, from Auburn, was that he was not a hustle guy. He was bigger, but he was soft. He got pushed around, and he didn't continue after the play. He didn't have much of a motor. He didn't pursue. But this Wooden guy looks like he pursues, and he's got a motor, and he'll play hard. And so I kind of like him. I think the Packers are trying to build, Ben, this thing of, and this could be a really good thing. Maybe this is part of the strategy, okay? Maybe this is, we want a guy like Van Ness. We want a guy like this that we can rush from the interior as on known passing downs. And then we take out Kenny Clark and we take out the big guys, and they're all gone. We go with the small pass rushing unit, and that's maybe what they're going for here by drafting these two guys.
Well, Kenny Clark is not a pass rusher, and he never has been.
I know.
So
and he can certainly use some plays off from time to time. He'll probably be better when he's out there if he doesn't have to play every down.
I think it'd be better if he didn't play any downs. Anyways, I just, my feelings like Kenny Clark.
I know.
He's more overrated than anybody else on the team. Honest to God, especially now that Rodgers is gone. Kenny Clark is the most overrated guy on the team. Period.
I'm
at
just saying.
Like, other guys have gotten paid. At least you could see that they're good. They're good players most of the time. Elton Jenkins probably getting paid more than he deserves, but he's still most of the time he looks good. Bakhtiari looks good. Even Preston Smith, for his price tag, makes some plays every now and again, and hustles and is aware sometimes. Jair, he's getting paid. Even Campbell, a linebacker, decent player for his money. Kenny Clark, I don't see the same result. I don't know. He's good real quick. He's able to beat inferior guards on the interior and inferior centers, but then after the initial burst and speed to get by a guy or strength to get by a guy, there's no pursuit. The only time he gets a sack is if somebody else pressures the quarterback and the quarterback falls in his lap. And I hate to be mean, but the guy makes way more than he deserves, period, than what he's worth. I mean, I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm just saying the paycheck doesn't match up with the production on the field. and not even just production, just being a part of the team and like making like helping out, like taking on a double team or whatever, something like that. I don't know. It's not his thing. But everybody seems to think he's so damn great. And I might be an idiot. I could be very much an idiot. What the hell do I know?
And I know they've worked Van Ness a bunch at edge in the, this first round of stuff, and hopefully that'll kind of develop and whatever. The other guy that's really intriguing, and it was mentioned earlier, was Carl Brooks. And Mike Daniels likes him, and I didn't realize he was as big as he is. He's 296, 6'3", 296. That's a sizable man who you would think, and from looking at his tape and the way he hustles and moves, like I could see some Devontae Wyatt and him on the inside pass rushing too. Gets me excited, man. Gets me excited. I want to see big fast guys pursuing and rushing the passer. That'd be awesome.
Carl Brooks doesn't have the change of direction and shuttle adjustment speed. He's not very good at that. The other thing he always wants to do is he always wants to beat the guy to the outside on a pass rush. He doesn't use his size to do bull rushes, even though he's got pretty good size. He'd rather try to win with speed. And then what happens is the offensive lineman lets him go, and then it takes him a while to realize that to like stop and come back to the quarterback. Like he doesn't have the quick twitch, as they call it. The ability to just adjust and move and lower your body. And like you see all these pictures of Van Ness where he's like almost like parallel to the ground, like leaning his body way, way over. Like Carl Brooks doesn't do that. Now he's aggressive. He's relentless, but a lot of times it's chasing from behind on plays, and stuff like that. I'm not saying he's bad, but it's also, you look at the competition he played against when he played for Bowling Green, not the greatest in the world.
I get that.
His athletic profile is not even as good as Mike Daniels was. Like I was thinking too. I was thinking, oh, this guy's like Mike Daniels. I mean, 6'2", 300 pounds, tough guy who'll smack you around and all this kind of stuff. No, he's not Mike Daniels. Mike Daniels is quick inside. Mike Daniels could hold up against double teams. This guy doesn't hold up against double teams. He played on the outside all the time. He was a pass rusher specialist. That's what he was. Like he wants to get to the quarterback. And it's not the same. Now, that doesn't mean he's not able to learn those things. He does have the girth and the body to do so. Yeah. He looks like a big guy. He looks well put together. He looks like Mike Daniels kind of. But right now, at this point, he's no Mike Daniels.
Maybe he just hasn't gotten that type of coaching yet, and maybe the Packers can do that for him. We'll see. My hopes are so then late, they drafted some corner. They drafted a corner. They drafted a running back, which Aaron Jones was excited about because it's his old running back coach who was coaching the kid at Central Michigan right now. So that was kind of a cool tie-in too. And this he's not 5'10", 220 pounds. I don't remember exactly how fast he is, but a 5'10", 220-pound running back, that's kind of a tweet. He's like exactly between Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, and could be an interesting like third guy to throw in the mix, as they need to and maybe develop into. So that might be kind of a good sneaky pick too. Those small school guys, if they got the size and they're at least like, they're not going to be probably game breakers, but if they got the size and they can be effective runners and you grab them in the 7th round, that's a hell of a value pick. I don't know. I kind of like it the Packers, again, whoever does the late rounds and like all that stuff, that person's a genius. It's not Goody, but whoever does that, smart.
Well, somebody else is saying that he had violent hands. We're talking, go back to D tackle again, or the guy was the defensive end, switched to D tackle. That's one thing that Mike Daniels had, because Mike Daniels was the wrestler. He understood leverage and hand placement and knocking a guy off the ball and, using your hands and your arms to slap the other guys down, which gives you the upper hand if you're quick enough and able to move that way. And that's great. And he does have quick hands, but he doesn't have the agility that Mike Daniels had. So that's one thing. No, Mike Daniels didn't have any speed, as we know from watching the Arizona Cardinals playoff game when, we had the 2 Hail Marys, and then Mike Daniels gets inside with pressure, and then Carson Palmer just runs around him, and Mike Daniels just couldn't get there, and then Palmer throws the ball across his body back to Larry Fitzgerald, who then runs for 70 yards all the way inside the 5-yard line, and then the Packers defense just gave up on the next play like a bunch of chumps, which is fine. But anyways, On to the next guy. My
Carson
guy.
Palmer and his slow old balls.
I know. Mike Dev's going to catch him. So
Who's your guy? Who's your guy?
Anthony Johnson Jr.
Woo! 6 foot 205. That's not bad size for safety. It's much better than little savage putsy boy.
Well, I'm just saying, this is the steal of the draft, in my opinion. Anthony Johnson Jr. I'm just going to say it. It's a position of need. They just signed another guy today. Apparently, the gymnastics husband guy.
Yeah.
I don't know how many more damn safeties we need on this team. But this guy is a guy who Chris Collinsworth, and you can believe what you want about him, but he's a guy who's watched a hell of a lot of football, played football against players like this safety because he was a wide receiver, sees it every Sunday night on the freaking TV, owns PFF. So, if he's not grinding tape, he sees other guys grinding tapes. He had Anthony Johnson Jr. going in the first round to the Cincinnati Bengals in his mock draft at pick 24 or 26 or whatever pick the Cincinnati Bengals had in this year's draft. That's how highly he thought of Anthony Johnson Jr. And he said, somebody asked, one of the other guys on the show asked him, Brian Branch. He's like, Brian Branch, this guy's better than Brian Branch. He said, this guy's better than Brian Branch, who's considered the best safety in the draft by most people. Chris Collinsworth could be nuts. I don't know. But the fact that we got this guy in the 7th round must mean something. I mean, he's a former corner. Came back for his 5th year. They moved to safety. Let him be the leader of the defense. He didn't have any interceptions when he played corner, but he played safety last year. He got 2 interceptions. He's not from Iowa, but he's from Iowa State, which is close to Iowa. So that must mean he's good.
It is close.
Saying, the last time we had a guy who wore number 36, we won the Super Bowl. And the time before that, we had a guy at safety who wore number 36. We won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I like it.
So
I like it.
Is it a coincidence that the Packers gave him a 36? I don't know.
Maybe they know something.
I think this guy he's going to be our free safety of the future. So this might be Darnell Savage's last season to maybe have a chance. But I think this guy's got the speed and the experience at a corner so he can find the ball in the air, unlike Savage, who has no idea how to do that. Just watch. By the end of the season, this guy will be starting at free safety, no doubt. I think it's going to be awesome.
I'm excited about that too. I like him. And at that stage of the draft, like what the heck, it could be a contributor on special teams. Like, again, a bunch of these dudes could be contributors on special teams, hopefully as well. And, that's something I think the Packers had made improvements on special teams last year, 100%. But when you bring in fresh, hungry guys who are trying to make the team, you're going to get their best. And if they don't get to play that much on like defense and offense or whatever, like you're going to get. So that's why I like having a lot of rookies sometimes on special teams, because they're young, they're fast, they're trying to make a name for themselves, they're trying to make the team, they're trying to like impress. So you're going to get everything they got all the time, and I like that. So I think a bunch of the picks were smart, and I know Lee commented after saying how he thought we could have done better. There's a lot of, but I think that was kind of part of the draft, right? It was like not as much top end talent this year as some of the other drafts as people project it, but a lot of like solid, good football players and some interesting prospects and some guys that maybe are going to be diamonds in the rough that turn into something like Johnson Jr. He could be that guy. And if he turned it into a starter this year, like, come on, that's a goal. Whoever made that pick should get a raise and a promotion. I'll just say that. And we were asked before about the quarterback from Penn State and interesting things. What did they say about him? So a lot of people were like, why? What are we drafting this quarterback for? What's the whole deal? You need another quarterback. I get it. Did you need another young one? And the Packers have done this for a long time, right? They have their starter figured out, and generally they don't sign a veteran backup quarterback. They draft one, That's kind of the way they go.
And I agree with it.
Right, I get it. Cheaper.
Especially with the past bunch of years where your team is based around your starting quarterback. If he goes down, you're shot anyways. I mean, come on, your whole offense is based around this guy. In the case of Rodgers, anyway, because he plays a certain way, and the team's based around his play, and the offense is based around him. If somebody else comes in, we saw what happens. It's never good. It's not like when Brett Favre was there, and they had like guys who were good behind him, like Matt Hasselbeck and Brunell and Aaron Brooks and Ty Detmer. Those guys are all awesome. So this is going back to that again, where they take a guy who he reminds me of a Matt Hasselbeck type. Yeah, actually, a lot. When you look at his numbers, when you look at his build, he's very similar to Matt Hasselbeck. And I don't know. I kind of like them a little bit, after looking up more about him and stuff. So go ahead, keep talking.
Here's what they said. They like his toughness. They like how he stays in the pocket and makes throws, and they like his ball placement and his arm. So, I mean, 5th round pick to get a guy that you like that stuff about, and he was, Penn State's most productive quarterback in the school history. That's all good, but he has a lot of game experience in college, a big time college program. Okay, that's all good. And when you watch the throws, like he's got something on the ball. It's not like he's got a weak arm. He's got something on the ball. He does have pocket presence. He's not like that athletic, but he's athletic enough. And he's got a pretty good pocket feel, which a lot of guys frankly struggle with in the NFL, especially guys in college who are used to these defenses they're going up against where and these offensive plays where they just get the ball out so quick all the time. Like you mentioned that the other day, but it's hard to evaluate offensive linemen in college pass blocking because they pass block for like 1.5, 2 seconds and the ball's gone. Well, so a lot of those guys that played in college, especially if they're super athletic, they struggle with that pocket presence sometimes. They run into sacks. They like try to run around and be all the crazy. This is a guy who didn't do all that stuff. He stayed in the pocket. He threw the ball. And most guys in the NFL have to end up doing that at some point. So I kind of, I'm on board with it too. I like it.
The other thing that's interesting is he played in a pro system in Penn State. It wasn't like some goofball. Like that's the other thing that's so dumb. Like people complain about his interceptions he threw and some other stuff. The guy played 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, he was in college for 6 years or whatever the hell it was. He had 86 touchdowns in his career, to over 10,000 yards, 15 rushing touchdowns. He also, when you compare him to other, like a lot of times you compare these other high-level quarterbacks coming out of college, and they do just like you were saying. They do 1 read or 2 reads and then run, like the athletic ones. They don't read past 2 reads. Number one, and they get out of the pocket and start trying to make something happen. The other thing is, or they go to a place where the team is built around getting the ball out fast, a lot of screens, a lot of quick passes, a lot of RPO kind of crap. And what Penn State did was RPO stuff as well. So he's worked under that. He also had some snaps under center. So he's done everything. In his years in college, he's done all types of different systems that all fit with what the NFL does. And he's a winner. They won a lot. And he played in the Big Ten, which is, conference, one of the top conferences. So it's not like he's some scrub off the street or something like that. He's actually older than Jordan Love. He actually has more experience at starting quarterback than Jordan Love at this point in his career than Jordan Love does at his career. So really, this is almost like them drafting a backup for Jordan Love as a veteran backup because the guy's played for so long and was successful at a big-time program. Jordan Love played at a small program for like 2 seasons. That was it. Then he got drafted and he's been sitting on his butt for 3 years. So this guy's got way more experience. And he's probably seen way more on the field. So it's a good pick, I think. The other thing Goody said was he was the last guy that they felt was a draftable quarterback. And after the second to last guy got drafted, like almost like right before they picked, they were like, listen, we're taking him. Because this is the last guy. He might not be a 5th round grade. He might be a 7th round grade for him. But if you have every other quarterback in the draft and you know you want a quarterback and every other quarterback in this draft is not considered a draftable player, and the last one is only there because the guy before that just took off the field or whatever, off the board, Goody said, I'm pulling the plug. I'm drafting him because he's the last guy that's draftable. He might have a lower grade than some other, guys that went before him, but they went before him. On Goody's draft board, every other quarterback that was not drafted, that was drafted after Collins or not drafted at all, was all graded lower than Collins. And not only that, was graded as a non-draftable player. And that's why Goody pulled him at 5, because every other draftable player that they had on the list was gone. So they're like, forget it. We're taking this guy. He's their last guy that we have. Because I think what they're looking for is smart, experience, ability to, like you said, hold in the pocket, all those things. They wanted a savvy guy behind Jordan Love. If they wanted a project, they could have drafted a bunch of projects. But they didn't want to go that way. They wanted to go with a guy who, this is what he is. We know what he is. He's solid, and we trust him. Because their project is Danny Etley, right? That's the guy who used to play wide receiver, who's got all the talent in the world and strength and size and all that kind of stuff. They're trying to mold him into a quarterback. This guy is already a quarterback. He's been playing quarterback for all these years, and he's ready to go. So I think it was a smart move, and it was way cheaper than trying to sign a veteran quarterback, because that would have cost even a cheap, veteran quarterback nowadays is like $10 million or whatever the crap it is a year. That's, they don't even have that much cap space.
Right.
So you're pretty much drafting a guy with a fifth round pick salary who's got the same experience playing as it'd be like, I don't know. It'd be like getting Teddy Bridgewater or something. I mean, how much really experience does Teddy Bridgewater have? Or Geno Smith or any of those guys? Or Jameis Winston or whoever. These guys, they came out early when they were young, and then they played in the NFL a couple of years, got hurt or got benched or didn't play. They've been in the league for 8 or 9 years, but they didn't start the 8 or 9 years, and they only played a couple of years in college. So this is a way to, make some moves, and I don't know. I just liked it. I thought it was interesting. We'll see if he's any good. Hopefully we'll never have to see him. Hopefully Jordan Love will be great. Doesn't matter.
Plus he got Aaron Rodgers' locker, so he's taking that on too.
I know,
so
yeah.
Hey, good luck. But I mean, hey, somebody had to do it. Good for him. Jonathan says, I hate Penn State, but I will watch his development. Yes, Jonathan. We hope the best for Sean Miller. So anyway, I like all that. I think overall, I don't know. Goody is really happy with his draft, and he usually is, but I don't know. They were saying like something that he really feels strong about this one. So we'll see. If he likes this year's draft better than last year's draft, then I don't know. I'm really looking forward to the next couple of years for this team, because it might be just that. Maybe the Packers have this magic formula. I have no clue, but maybe the magic formula is we bring in a new starting quarterback, and within a couple of years we win a Super Bowl again. I don't know, because we built this team up somehow, and all the mix comes together. I don't know how the hell it works, but seems like that's their way. They're not every 5 or 7 years like you want them, Ben, but they're maybe every 15 or something like that. We'll see. All right. So Jordan Love, let's go back to a couple things he said, because he had a whole long press conference, and something that was very interesting was, I got asked a lot about the Rodgers thing and him being the guy and all this sort of stuff. And, but one thing that was interesting was when he mentioned how, when Rodgers signed the contract last year, then he was like, hey, what are we doing here? And he had questions on that. And I don't know what the conversation was between the team and him, or Goody and him, or whatever. But that was kind of the biggest kind of crossing point for him to be figuring out, okay, what am I going to do now? And he chose to stay quiet, stay working, do his thing, control what he can do. And then now everything got worked out, and now he gets opportunity. So hopefully that all works out for him, because I think he did everything the right way.
The other thing I really was impressed was by him saying that, it made him human. It made him not just, because all we've seen of Jordan Love over the years is him pretty much just being calm, collected, doesn't really say too much to stir the pot. Very professional. Like, he handled this whole situation amazing. A great young man who hopefully will be a great player. And prior to that point, he was doing the same things. Oh yeah, I'm with it. I was, hey, I worked hard. They asked him, how did you train differently this year? Go knowing that there's a good possibility you're gonna be the guy. And he's like, no, I trained the same as I did the last bunch of years. Just work on my craft away from the team, come back in, work the way the team wants me to work. Same stuff I did the last 3 years in the off season. But what the thing that was really interesting was when he said that, you saw he broke down a little bit of a barrier of his walls that he puts up. Where you saw, he's like, yeah, I mean, that bothered me a lot. I was concerning. I was wondering what the heck is going on. Like if you're going to draft me, then play me. But he never said it once in a whole year plus. Never once said anything about the fact about Aaron Rodgers' contract extension last year, the $150 million for 3 years. And then, of course, he disappeared for 6 months on his vacation, never showed up. And Jordan Love had to lead the team. But that's not the point. Anyways, he never said one peep about how it bothered him. And in that press conference, you're right. He said, hey, all I could do was show up in the preseason. I knew I had that to probably, show people what I had. And then don't know what happens. And I got to get in a couple of games and try to do the best I can and do what I can. And it's a way to say, hey, you know what? That I like, because not only did it show he is human, he's like the rest of us. He's a regular guy. He was able to handle that disappointment and come out and actually play better than he ever has before in the preseason and in the game against the Eagles. A lot of guys, like if you've been working for 3 years waiting for your chance, or 2 years, and then the guy ahead of you gets a 3-year contract extension, they might tune out. They might phone it in. They might give up. But not Jordan Love. He did his best. He worked hard. When he had his chance, he made the best of it. And it led to the Packers having confidence in him enough to, gently shove the 12 out the door by, saying, oh, we're not going to sign back your buddies this year, but you can go back. We're not going to keep Mason, you're a good buddy, but you can come back. We traded away Devontae last year and all that, but you can come back. That's what they said. So I don't know. I was excited. The other thing that really excited me was in Aaron Jones. When Aaron Jones said, they asked about Jordan Love, and Aaron Jones said, oh, we all love Aaron. Oh my God. We all love Jordan. We all love Jordan. And he said, and because they asked him, well, what's he like? We don't really know much about the reporters. Like, we never really get a chance to talk to him. When we do, he's pretty level-headed. And Aaron Jones is like, oh, hey, we love him. Everybody on this team loves him. We'll do whatever we can to help him out. Then he's like, he's a real team guy. He's a real team guy. That's not a shot, because Aaron Jones never takes shots. But I'm going to take it as a shot because Aaron Jones is too nice to take shots. But that's a shot at our boy 12, who's definitely not a team guy.
I heard it, yeah, and I liked it.
They also asked Jordan Love what he would do, what his different strategy as a leader would be. And Jordan Love said, he's like, well, my job is to bring everybody up. That's what he said. Give everybody confidence. He's like, I don't ever want to get on a guy and make him, feel like he's less than what he is. I need him to be his best. So I'm going to try to prop him up. I'm never going to tear a guy down. That's kind of the opposite of what we've been seeing for the last couple of years too. So I like that. I don't know if he has the talent that, the two previous guys had before him, but I think he has more of a team mentality. And I think this team is so young that they'll gravitate, especially the offense, will gravitate around him and work together and try to do whatever they can to make it happen. And that's cool. I mean, I really was impressed with both Aaron Jones saying that he's a team guy, and also the way Jordan Love said he only wants to bring guys up. He always wants to make sure he's never going to tear a guy down. He's always going to bring him up, try to work with him on what they need to have. And he's like, because maybe he's the one who's going to need help sometimes. It's like Jordan Love, or like Aaron Jones said, hey, if he needs help, we'll be there. He might be the guy. Maybe we'll have to take on some of the load because he's still kind of learning stuff around. He's like, but me and the other 9, the other 9 guys besides me on the field, we'll do our part to make sure that it's easier for him the best we can. And that's something I've been looking forward to as a Packer fan, is to cheer for the Green Bay Packers again. And that's what this feels like. This feels like a true team of guys. When your two leaders on offense that they had during this press conference both speak about team, about building up together, about working together and being there for each other and being a team guy. And you all know Aaron Jones is a team guy, 100%. And he's now the new leader, really. And he's going to probably hand it off to Jordan Love. You know, he even says Jordan Love. Aaron Jones already says Jordan Love's the guy. He's given the mantle to him. But still, if he needs me, I'm there to help him out as a leader. And because who's older than him? Nobody. There's nobody older than him on the offense. Besides Bakhtiari. And Bakhtiari's he's tuned out. He don't care. He thinks they're gonna suck. So we need Aaron Jones to be a leader and Jordan Love to take over. And it sounds like it's working out. I like it.
The one thing, just think about that, Packer fans. Okay. We went from the last several years, the main leader of the team, and this type of press conference or these type of times where, before the season and all of that person, as opposed to talking about, a team coming together and bringing guys together and bringing guys along and all that sort of stuff, that person just said, well, they got to learn what I want. They got to learn how to do it the way I want to do it. They got to learn this. They're not doing it good enough. That's all you heard from him for the last how many years. That's all these guys heard from him publicly through that we got to see. What did he say in the practices? I don't even know. So just think of how different that is and refreshing that is, not only as a Packer fan for us to hear, but also think about all these young players coming in to play with this new quarterback, a lot of it new to them, and to have that environment instead of the environment we've had for the last bunch of years with Rodgers. So I said it before, I think it's going to be a way better environment and person to learn and grow with than for young guys, young receivers, young pass catchers, young guys in offense than they would have had to if, Rodgers was still the quarterback. So it's all good by my estimation. And on top of it, I think Jordan Love is going to play pretty damn well this year. And I'm expecting a lot from this team. Okay, so let's see. Lastly here, other than, me showing you James Stark's clone or his young nephew or whoever I was just blown away. Grant Dubois, I think is how I heard the announcer say it at one of his college games. Sean Clifford, the other wild card for him, the other good thing for him is he's still got Obi-Tom Kenobi to learn from. And Jordan Love credited Obi-Tom quite a bit for his advancement last season. Now, is it coincidental that Jordan Love took a big jump? It looks so much more comfortable and so much better last season, and Tom Clemens was there. Is that coincidental, or is that a result of Tom Clemens and his ability to coach quarterbacks?
Or is it the lack of Aaron Rodgers' buddy, the offense coordinator of the Bears? What's his name again? Forgot his name. Holy crap.
Luke Getsy. Come on.
Luke Getsy. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers' buddy, Luke Getsy, who didn't know how to coach a damn quarterback. He was just Aaron Rodgers' buddy, and that's why he was a quarterback coach. Maybe that's the big thing. Jordan Love got no quarterback coaching from that guy. And then Tom Clemens showed up and freaking taught him how to be a quarterback. And he's like, oh, wow, this is what it's like to be coached. Nice, thanks. I had Luke Getsy before you. Not that Luke Getsy's a bad coach. He might be a good offensive mind, but he might not be able to coach the same type of things that Tom Clemens teaches or hold the guy responsible the way Tom Clemens holds the guy responsible for the most part. And I think it's very telling that Tom Clemens is still back this season. He's old. He could retire. He retired already once.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And, when Aaron Rodgers is gone, he could easily be like, I don't want to come back. Sorry. It was just nice. I want to work with Aaron Rodgers one last time. He must be having fun to coach Jordan Love too.
Think about that. What does that say from an organizational standpoint about what they're trying to do? Okay. You basically kept intact all of the resources you had on defense, which for a defense that underperformed last year, but has all of this talent by every estimation based on what you've invested in it. You also have Tom Clemens coming back. You also create a bigger role for Rich Bisaccia because of the turnaround he helped create with the special teams and all this sort of stuff, and his voice in the locker room and with the team and all that motivational pieces that maybe he's better at than Matt LaFleur. Does that, so for anybody that's thinking and wants to say this is a rebuilding year for the Packers, does any of that sound like rebuilding from an organization mindset? All that sounds like investment in all of these areas where you saw improvement last year to sustain or increase the things that got better. Now you have a new player at a key position, but holy crap, the Green Bay Packers are saying we're not expecting a dip down this year. We're expecting to make the playoffs. We're expecting to compete. That's what it says to me.
I just hope that the national media and other people still give them no credit, because it'll be nice. It'll be nice to watch them come out and just start smacking people left and right, start scoring a bunch of points and going crazy. And I think they can do it. I think they could do it if the system is run properly, if the ball gets to the playmakers' hands when they're open and have some field in front of them to work with, instead of getting the ball thrown to them when they're 30 yards downfield with a guy covering them. They could take it all the way to the house. We watched Christian Watson do it against the Eagles. We watched him do it 3 times against the freaking Dallas Cowboys. And if that starts happening, guess what? Running room for Aaron Jones is going to start opening up. And he's going to start taking something to the house or big, long runs, because all of a sudden people will be worried about Tucker Kraft or our boy Luke Musgrave taking up the seam, pulling the linebacker out of the middle of the field, and guess what? Here comes Aaron Jones. And there's no linebacker there anymore. Then we just have to worry about our offensive line getting their blocks, which that's a whole nother story. But I don't know. I'm excited. It's going to be probably the most excited I've been since the Matt LaFleur hire, for sure. Mostly because it was different, because the McCarthy got stale. And in this case, Aaron Rodgers got stale. And it's just time. You know, it wasn't just Rodgers. It was the Rodgers, Lazard, Randall Cobb, Devontae Adams, Mason Crosby, you know, Big Dog, all these guys, Tunyon. They run their course. They played. And I don't know why everybody thinks it's such a big loss for losing Lazard and Tunyon. Like, I don't know who thinks that, but they were both undrafted free agent guys who got a chance. They produced to the best of their abilities, which was as a free agent, undrafted guy. That's what they both were. And now they're both replaced by first and second and third round picks who, over the last 2 years, and fourth round pick and Romeo Dobbs, who will make a bigger impact because they have the talent of a first, second, and third and fourth round pick, and not an undrafted free agent or a guy in his 16th year at tight end or whatever. I mean,
yeah,
it's a totally different makeup of athleticism, and there will be mistakes. There will be drops. There will be missed blocks, but it's not any different than the fact that when there is a play that can happen, it'll be way more dynamic and way more exciting as a fan to watch, because every play could be a big play. Every play could be a freaking massive thing. And that's huge. And that's going to be fun to watch. There will be mistakes, but there will also be game-changing plays possible on multiple game-changing plays in every single game. And I can't say we've had that as a Packer fan in the last, I don't know how many years. The last bunch of years, it's always been really long, boring drives for the most part before we can score. Broken in with a couple of big, long, deep MVS touchdowns, or the big, long Aaron Jones run that would, spark the offense in the second half of the game. But otherwise, it was a lot of dink and dunk, or Aaron Rodgers thrown to the outside to Devontae Adams.
Run solutions.
Run solution plays that get you 5 yards. And it's a lot of crap like that. And I want to see some downfield throws. I want to see some pressure. And the defense knows that too.
Yeah.
They sit back, wait, watch where the ball goes, and attack.
Well, how could you not, when you saw how many times? I mean, just looking at some of those throw charts last year, Ben, with the throws behind the line of scrimmage, it was just staggering. Like the most throws behind the line of scrimmage of anybody in the whole league. I mean, those are easy plays for teams to diagnose and attack, especially when you do them that frequently. If you don't do them that frequently and you mix them in, yeah, they can catch guys off guard. But if you're doing them all the time, people are like, oh, I know what's coming. And then they all just attack it and blow it up. And that's kind of the way it goes. Yeah, I mean, so Here are last two things I want to say. Then I want to go back to JJ's comment and comment on the Budenholzer. He wanted to know about our thoughts on the Budenholzer firing and the Bucks, and then we'll finish up with going through the schedule and giving you that quick. Think about this. Think about how many times, number one, Aaron Rodgers threw a ball where it was on the edge of the sideline where a guy had to make tiptoe catch or, perfect ball placement, but perfect ball placement to get 0 yards after the catch because the guy's going to catch it and then go out of bounds. That's gone. That's different. Number two, how many times did Aaron Rodgers throw the ball very low so guys had to go down to the ground to catch it, right? If they're going over the middle or even sometimes when they're standing still, he threw it so low that they're going to the ground to catch it. Now, I will tell you as a former football player, but I don't care what level you're at, like that's not natural. You want to, as an athlete, you want to catch the ball, turn and run. Now, I could never do it, but these guys can. So you want to catch the ball and turn and run, or you want to catch the ball on the run so you can do something with it after you catch it. Aaron Rodgers had so many plays because of the carefulness he played with and because of the way he played where he'd throw the ball low purposely so it couldn't be intercepted, and his guys would have to go to the ground to catch it. How many times did you see that especially over the last 8 years, but over his career, he did it more and more and more. And it was just, I would be pissed as a receiver. I don't want to freaking slam my shoulder into the ground every time I make a catch. That's annoying. I want to catch it and run with it. And he didn't give guys the chance on a bunch of plays. Number two. And lastly, the thing I'm also very excited about, other than seeing improvements in those two areas, those are seeing those things not happening. Oh, well, I guess I got one more throw in at the end, is when a run is called, handing the ball off and running the ball. I will love seeing that instead of switching to the everybody except one guy thinks we're running the ball here, and then I just throw it to somebody. I don't care. Last one is I will also enjoy not seeing the play clock run down to 0 or 1 every single time. So those are my 4 things I just wanted you to think about as Packers fans that are going to already immediately be improvements from the Aaron Rodgers era. So I don't know what you think about that.
I could go on and add about 17,000 more, but I don't have time for that. So let's move on to the next. Those
are some good things, right? Don't you think?
Sure. My screen just went black. Okay, I'm back.
Let's get to the Mike Budenholzer firing because we'll go to the Bucks. And anybody doesn't know, the Bucks lost in the first round of the Heat. Now, I will say this about the Heat. The Heat is a scary team and a good team, and they're the last team I wanted to see the Bucks play right away because they got a good team. And currently in the NBA, I was talking with a coworker today who loves NBA. He's a big Celtics fan. But currently in the NBA, like it used to be a long time ago, well, not even that long ago, but for years and years and years, the difference between like a 1 seed and an 8 seed or a 2 seed and a 7 seed was drastic. Those would be blowout sweep series. Okay, no problem. But now it's literally most of the time, like 8 to 10 wins is the difference between those teams over the course of 82 games. That's really not that big of a difference, to be honest. So with that, those teams coming in are pretty good teams. All the teams that are in the mix are good teams. Miami had a strong second half of the year. That was the scariest matchup. I didn't want to see him for the Bucks. All of that being said, if you're going to be the best team, you got to beat all the teams anywhere or whoever the hell you got to play. It doesn't matter. And Mike Budenholzer, not just this year, but finally this year, action was taken. But he showed back before the Bucks before the Bucks won their championship and they lost in the playoffs in years where there were very high expectations and they were the number 1 seed and all of that. He showed time and time again his either inability or unwillingness to adjust to what the other team was doing or to make adjustments in the series and change his plan. Like they had a plan going in, and when things weren't working, he just like, well, this is our plan. We're just going to do it better. Who the hell does that sound like to you? This is our plan.
Mike McCarthy.
Yes. And it didn't work out for him either. So I don't know if it's like a Mike thing. I don't know what it is, but Mike Budenholzer should have been fired like 3-4 years ago before they won the championship because they went into a series against the Raptors that they should have won And the
4 years ago.
The Raptors had a defensive plan to basically stop Giannis from handling the ball and driving. And rather than adjusting and doing something different on offense, the Bucks just did the same damn thing and made Giannis face 4 guys every time he had the ball. It was just dumb and just showed that's coaching, adjusting and coming up with a plan or adjusting your plan to help your players be more successful is coaching. That is the definition of coaching. So he should have been fired then. He didn't get fired. They stuck with him. They pulled it out. They won a championship. Great. He gets to stay, blah, blah, blah. But this season, what did he do, Ben? They made acquisitions. They had players, and he didn't play them. He didn't play him. He played these other guys 40-some minutes and didn't even put Jay Crowder in the game. Didn't put Goran Dragic in the game. Didn't put Javon Carter in the game, who was a great player for him all year. Like, yeah, sorry, man. You're the reason they lost. You can blame it on bad shooting, and I talk about Drew Holiday's bad shooting, other guys' bad shooting, this and that, and plus minus. But their coach not giving those guys a rest and not playing other players when he should have is the reason they lost. So that means Mike Budenholzer, you out.
It's very odd that they make all those moves to bring in guys. They make trades halfway through the year. And when the coach doesn't play the guys that he traded for, like we traded for Crowder to make a run. Like that's the point. And then when you look at even the last game, when you look at the stats and see who played, the only guy who was a big guy who played off the bench was Bobby Portis, who I love, but that's it. Like, that's it. So at power forward and center, they played 3 guys the entire game with Giannis, your guy, Lopez, and my guy, Portis. Didn't even bother to bring in Crowder, who has got a lot of playoff experience.
And he's a pain in the ass for the other team.
He's a pain in the ass for the other team. Yeah. He makes the other team looks. You know who else he could help? He could help out with, helping out against Jimmy Butler because he's the only guy quick enough and big enough to get over there and help out when he gets beat. Because Middleton's gonna get beat because he stinks. Can't play defense. We all know that. But it's like when you're the GM and you trade for these guys and make moves to help you win a championship, and then the coach doesn't play the guys you traded for or the guys you picked up this year to help run the championship, and you just keep playing the same guys from last year where you didn't win, and you lost guys from last year, and then you try to replace those guys with veteran players because the NBA is about veteran players, because let's all face it, that's the way they call it. Which is why I'm not really that much as an NBA fan as I used to be, because it's always, we watched it. Veteran players get the calls. We all know how it works. Or superstars get the call, whatever, something like that. But that's the reason. The GM had to fire him. Because when the owner comes to you and says, why did you guys get beat in the 8th round? Or by the 8th seed team in the first round of the playoffs? What are you going to say? When you're the GM, you say, I traded for these guys. I signed them. He didn't play them. That's all you got to say. And the owner signed off on it. The GM signs off on it. And Giannis had to sign off on it. Unless he doesn't want to be a Buck anymore, which I've heard rumblings about that through the press. I don't think that's really Giannis talking. I think that's just other people wanting him to leave.
Yeah, it's just that.
But I mean, all three of those had to have been okay with the fact that they're getting rid of him. And those are the reasons. You have to understand your team's limitations and have to understand what your team is built for. And when your team played, that's the other thing. Chris Middleton's a nice guy. The team won a bunch of games in a row when he was hurt. And then when he comes back, it just changes the whole dynamic. And Chris Middleton's, he's a guy who, when you need shots to get made, he can come in and hit shots.
Yep.
But that's all he is.
If he's not making shots, he should be out of the game.
Right. He's a defensive liability. He's can't pass, never does pass. Doesn't get many rebounds.
Not a good ball handler.
Doesn't run. He doesn't run the floor very often. So all he is a shooter. That's it. So he should never be starting. Like he shouldn't be. He should be a 6-man off the bench. He is the definition of a 6-man. He's like the perfect 6-man. Come in when the stars come off, and then he can get his volume shots. And if he's hot, you ride it, and then he does great. And then if he's not hot, you get his ass out of there and change it up. Get somebody else in there.
Yeah.
But he's not a starter. He should never be a starter. I don't care how much he makes. I don't care that he's been there for 9 years or 10 years or however long he's been there now. He's just not. He is a 6-man scorer off the bench. He's a Tim Thomas. Tim Thomas didn't play defense. He was 6'10", didn't play defense, didn't get rebounds, couldn't pass, but he could shoot. That's all he did. Still my favorite Buck back then, but still, that's the point. But yeah, that's the reason why. I mean, the GM and the owner, that's what you have to do. The owner's going to ask, what the hell's going on? How do we get beat? And the coach, what's his explain? Okay, Giannis missed a bunch of free throws. He did. But it wasn't just that last game. You got beaten 4 out of 5 games. You couldn't even get to the 6th game, for God's sake. You only won 1, and that was because our guy, what's his face, came off the bench, drained a bunch of threes. Right? That's it. Livia's favorite guy. I can't remember his name. White dude. What's his name?
And Brooke Lopez was awesome in that game.
Yeah, the other guy made every damn three, though. What's his name? Jumper guy.
Super Pat?
Super Pat. Yeah. Connington. He came in, drained a bunch of threes, and that's why they won. Otherwise, they would have lost. So that's all you got to do. That's the reason why. It was a smart move. I don't know if Bud was ever, Budenholzer was ever as good as people thought he was.
No.
A lot of fans, we've been calling for him since the Raptors series, like you said, because I work with a guy, or I used to work with a guy who's a Raptors fan, and I had to listen to his crap the whole time, 5 years ago, whenever that was, when they played him, because I thought for sure they were going to cream the crap out of him, and they couldn't, and they let a bunch of guys who were scrubs beat him. Now that one, what's his name, Leonard was awesome, and he was awesome.
Yep.
But like Serge Ibaka, they made Serge Ibaka look like a superstar in that series too. That's why when they got him last year, Serge Ibaka last year, I was like, ooh. And then he plays for the Bucks. I'm like, this guy stinks. How did we make it look so damn good in the playoffs a couple years back?
Yep.
But yeah, it's time.
I know hindsight is 20/20, but just to wrap this up. Now, the other factor that was brought up was the Darvin Ham factor. Now, Darvin Ham used to work with the big guys, and he was as well, and he was just kind of this presence on the team. He was like Mike Budenholzer's assistant head coach. And now the Lakers were a total mess. Now the Lakers are back in the playoffs and challenging the Warriors and might knock them out. And Darvin Ham's their head coach. So did the Bucks wait too long? Is that a missed opportunity? Think about Darvin Ham could have taken over and been their head coach, man. And he would have
been a great story.
He would have fit right in with Milwaukee. He already knew the team. Like that's a big miss, but those are decisions that GMs and owners have to make. And sometimes if you wait and hang with a guy too long, just because, you got the championship done or whatever. I mean, like I said, Budenholzer shouldn't even got the championship. He should have been fired before that, because that he didn't show his ability to get the best out of his team. And he didn't even try. He didn't even try to change anything back in 2019 to get the best out of his team, and they lost because of it. And now you're back at square one. You're looking for a totally new coach, new system, new all this stuff. Anyway, that's the whole situation on the Bucks. But I just want to bring it up. And kudos Darvin Ham. Go get him, buddy. It'll always be a buck to me. Darvin Ham.
Ham sandwich.
That's right. All right, let's finish off with this. We got the Packers schedule, Ben. Packers schedule. People are asking about victories and what are the Packers going to do? And let's talk about it. What do we think here, Ben, as far as this schedule goes? Let's just map it out. We'll tell everybody how many games Packers are going to
win.
Packers against Bears. Win. Hold on.
6 wins right off the bat.
We got Packers at Bears. That's a win. We got Packers at Falcons. That's a win. We got Saints at Packers.
Win.
We got Lions at Packers.
Win.
4-0. Holy moly. Packers at Raiders.
Win.
5-0. If the team starts off 5-0, people are going to go crazy. Packers at Broncos.
Win.
No, 6-0. Stop it. Vikings at Packers.
Win.
Rams at Packers.
Win.
Stop it. Packers at Steelers.
Win.
Oh my God. I think that one might be a loss. Chargers at Packers.
We're losing that one. We can't beat Justin Herbert. He's too good. He's too good.
But we got the best defense. We got all these resource set defense, man.
Nah, Justin Herbert's really good.
Justin Herbert wasn't as good last year.
Yeah, this series gonna be good.
All right, so 7-1. I think they'll lose to the Steelers. You think they'll lose to the Chargers?
No, they'll be
but
the Steelers.
all right, Packers at Lions
Win.
on Thanksgiving. I think maybe
Win.
Oh, on Thanksgiving. I think the Lions win
Yeah.
that one. So I'm gonna say 8-2. Ben says 9-1. Chiefs at Packers.
Win.
What the?
They finally got him at Lambeau. They're gonna crush him.
Now you're going crazy. All right, Packers at Giants.
Win.
Buccaneers at Packers.
Win.
Packers at Panthers. Packers at Vikings.
Win.
Bears at Packers.
Win.
So you're telling me
16-1.
16-1, according to you. 16-1.
Green Bay Packers.
Jordan Love's first year as a starter. 16-1. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't look at the schedule until just now, and I'm telling you, I see at least 14 wins there. I don't know. Am I crazy or what? If they,
I know.
That's insane. That'd be so great. Oh my god. Maybe Goody.
Addition by subtraction, people. I'm just telling you, the talent on this offense will show. It will show up. It will show up, and it will only get better throughout the year. And if you look at those first bunch of games they play, it's a bunch of scrubs. So they'll go through their growing pains, and then boom, 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 boom. They'll start putting it all together. And by the time they get to that Chiefs game, if they can beat the Chiefs, they'll have so much confidence that it'll just be unstoppable. It'll be like a damn giant snow, like a little snowball rolling down the hill that turns into a giant avalanche of a giant, humongous snowball that crushes over everybody.
And just think about that too. The young players, like they get that
confidence,
right? They just be like, "This is what we did in college. We won all the time. Now we're just in the NFL. We keep winning all the time." That's what they'll think. They'll think it's normal. Lee says 10 or 11 wins. I'll say. JJ was LOL here while we're going on to the 16-1 season.
Hey, I'm trying to be positive in my old age.
JJ said maybe. I said 8 minimum, and we'll just see. There's too much unknown yet. Well, we get it, JJ,
That's
but
true.
we got high expectations for Jordan Love. It'll be interesting to see how they incorporate the tight ends, how quickly those young guys pick up the offense and what they're going to do. But I would also say the offense is going to be a lot easier to pick up now than it was before. So because it'll just be the offense and it won't be all of the Aaron Rodgers stuff on top of that and all that. The young guys got to learn. So maybe those young guys can just learn how to block, run some regular seam routes and outs and overs and unders and stuff like that you normally do, and play football, and not think too much and play. So if they do all that, they got some talent, they got some young energy, they should have a lockdown defense. Don't forget about that. This defense, I think, is going to take last season, take a look at it, and they're going to be challenged this year to like step it up, because they're going to say, look, we didn't even come close to our standards last year. We got to be the defense we thought we were going to be coming into last season, this season, and I want to see it. And that's what I'm looking forward to, too. And maybe, remember the other key point, Ben. What did the Packers have in 2010 when they won the Super Bowl? What did they have on the defensive line? What did they have?
What
did the Packers have on the defensive line?
They had an awesome defensive line.
They did, but what was it? What was the key to that defensive line? It wasn't one individual player. What was it?
It was Pickett and Collins and B.J. Raji.
And the rotation.
And Howard Green. Howard Green
right.
coming in clutch.
Because they did a lot of defensive line rotations that season, kept guys fresh. And in recent years, they've had Kenny Clark on the field for like 85% of the snaps. And then he gets tired and lazy and he's already slow, so that doesn't help. So a fresh defensive line, rotations, more bodies, you're throwing in there, you're getting high energy, you're getting the best out of guys. The offensive line, remember that on the line of scrimmage, which is the most important point to winning football. The most important key to winning football games and winning plays is the line of scrimmage. The offensive linemen don't get a break. They don't change. But you could change defensive linemen all the damn time. And if you bring fresh dudes in all the time to go against these offensive linemen that have been on the field for 8-10 plays, that's when a difference-making play can come in. So don't underestimate the defensive line rotation, the importance of it, and bringing fresh bodies in. And the Packers, I think, have kind of built up this little stable of now guys that they can play on the D-line that can go against these old linemen and maybe create some problems for them. So that's another key. I put that into my equation when I think about winning games, and I think they can do it. So anyway, hopefully you buy that argument. All right, Ben, you got anything before we go?
I just think as Packer fans, there's going to be a lot more big plays.
Big play?
Good and bad, but I think there'll be more good than bad. And with all this young talent, you'll see a lot more big plays. And I think that will be very exciting as Packer fans to watch these games. There'll be a lot more to cheer for instead of these long, drawn-out drives and drive stalls and all that kind of crap. I think it'll be exciting. And I think special teams will come in big. Keyshawn Nixon come back, and Reed.
I didn't even think about them.
Reed returning punts and Keyshawn Nixon returning kickoffs. I think we'll have very good field position. I think we'll take some more shots. And also just get the ball in the playmakers' hands. We have way more playmakers, way more speed guys, way more young talent that can take it to the house, make guys miss, run over guys. Like Lazard he trips over his own feet, for God's sake. Come on. Randall Cobb's slow and old.
All those guys are on the Jets.
They're all on the Jets, and they're going to stink.
Good luck with that. JJ points it out. Go Pack, go. All right, you guys. Enjoy. Sorry we missed you last week, but we're back here. Enjoy. Be good. Stay good. We're excited about this draft class. You heard it right here first. 16-1.
16-1. Right here.
I say
also,
14.
New Hafeman Bros intro coming. We just don't know when it's ready.
That's
it's
next
coming.
Week. Until then, you get the old one. So stay good and be good. And as always, go Pack, go, just like JJ says. Tell me why,